Are you doing it?
Oh, no, I am not. Welcome to the Start to Be Great podcast. I'm your...
Start over.
Yep. It's gonna be great. Welcome to the Start to Be Great podcast. I am your co-host, Kimmy.
And I'm Anna. And if you're anything like us and you're sick of using fear as an excuse to stop truly living your life, then you're in the right place. We are here to tell you that you don't have to be great to start something, but you do have to.
Start to be great. So today we're talking about boundaries, forgiveness, and moving the fuck on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Today's gonna get some. It's gonna get in there. It's gonna get
Yeah.
nice and deep, like.
Get comfy with the uncomfortableness.
So, yeah. Prepare yourself. Grab the tissues, maybe.
Oh no.
Oh no, I'm just kidding. It won't be that bad. But we were having a conversation before this started, kind of about what we were gonna discuss,
Mhm.
and we realized that both of us try to avoid talking about certain topics.
Mhm.
And so, we might be talking about some things today that are uncomfortable for both of us to discuss, and we're just gonna wing it and go from there.
Yeah.
But I think it's a good and important part of the processing.
Yeah. I think it's really cool because you said this, and I agree that we tend to portray ourselves as open books. We pretend to like say that we talk about things easily, and like you can ask questions, and I'll give you my authentic, true response. And that's true to a certain aspect.
For most things.
For most things.
But if you find the right spot, when
Yeah.
you're like, no.
Yeah, I definitely have my trigger points. I definitely have my like, oof. Let's not talk about that moments. And not saying that you have to. You're able to process things in silence if you want to. But I think for both of us, we find a lot of benefit in talking about things out loud and communicating. So I think it's good.
Yeah, it's helped me a lot.
Yeah.
Because you're alone.
What has life taught you recently?
How about you answer this?
Yeah,
first?
I'll answer this. So recently, this year, and very recently, I have started to prioritize myself a lot more than I have in the past. I'm like the kind of friend that wants to be overly involved in what you have going on. I'm a big supporter, and I really like watching other people succeed. In the past, I have, let that become too much of a priority for me and kind of put myself on the back burner. And this year I've really prioritized choosing me and really focusing on my goals. And what that has taught me is that the right people will stick around once you start setting boundaries. And when I start to pick, myself and things and prioritize myself, I was able to get a lot more done, which made me overall in a better position to help people. Like, so instead of just being like, well, fuck myself, I really want this to happen for this person. When I did my shit, I was successful in that shit, and then that helped me be available to help the other person or give me more of a network or more of a, ability to help a person in a way that I wouldn't have been able to just with like what I have. So that's been my what life has taught me recently is it is okay to choose yourself, and it's not necessarily selfish, but it's like it is important to prioritize yourself.
I think the thing is too is like when you bend over backwards personally, and I'm saying this from watching you, you do it to, or you have to a degree where it's like a detriment to you, and so not even just that it's keeping you from helping other people, it's keeping you from helping yourself. And in the long run, who Kimmy is meant to be in this world will be impacted by that choice to help others first. And so I think that's the bigger thing is like it's a big picture part of your life is boundaries and realizing that like
I set none, or I have in the past. I struggle really hard setting boundaries, and I'm working on it.
And then there's me on the other hand too. I love boundaries. I believe that the only people who do not like when you come to them and tell them boundaries, now obviously there's exceptions to every rule, but I believe that the people that hate your boundaries are the people that want to control and manipulate you. So if you ever go up to someone that you care about, because normally it's the people closest to you, and if you ever tell them like, hey, like, I need this or I want this, as long as you're not being like a demanding psychopath, which, that can be a thing too, there's no reason why someone can't accommodate that. As long as you're reciprocating that as well to them and respecting their boundaries. And if they don't, if they don't hear you or understand or care that you have needs, that's a dangerous person to have in your circle. So I would challenge you to like consider the people that get mad when you tell them no. I don't know about the quality of their character. That's something that and that could be debated, but like maybe dig a little deeper on it and like see why they're responding that way.
Yeah, I think watching how they respond to you saying that you need something, I think that's awesome. Like exactly what you should do. You should analyze, their response and how that has importance. But I think it's also important to recognize how people like respond to you setting boundaries in a different way. Like if you set your boundaries and that leads you to not help them out in a way, or like if you stop, providing the service you did before because it was crossing some sort of boundary for you, how like if you stop giving, how their response is, like are they only around because of what you can provide them? Because that's happened to me a lot, and it's hard to what do you mean, like a generic example, like if I don't know, like if I'm giving like advice for personal training, or if I'm giving advice in the gym or nutrition and stuff, and like it's like you're my friend but you're always asking me questions about that, and it's like, hey, like like I actually am a personal trainer, and like it's taking me a lot of time to
people
give
pay
you,
me for
like,
this.
like it's getting like if you like just be like, hey, I've showed you what to do, but I can't be there for you, to change your workout every week, like that kind of thing. Are you here because you're my friend, or are you here because I'm providing like a good service for you type thing?
Right.
And like if I stop providing that, are you going to get mad at me? If I stop providing that, like if that's the anxiety I have, if it's like, I think that's what I struggle with, is like disappointing people, setting boundaries, because it's taking out of my energy, it's taking out of what I can provide, and if you're gonna, am I gonna disappoint you by stop?
Right. Yeah, and I think I'm super proud of you for like learning that. That's a huge. It's so important to have boundaries. But like the thing is all those people that are gonna get mad or disappointed by your boundaries, fuck those people. Like for real, they are not your people. They're not meant to stay in your life. And as soon as they're out, you get the people that you deserve, and you get the people that are gonna boost you up. I heard a really cool analogy yesterday, and it was somebody famous said it on YouTube. So I'm quoting someone, I don't know who it is, but it was about a rocket ship and how there's like layers, and like as it goes through the atmosphere, those layers, the rocket cannot go with all the layers it has. It has to drop them. And so you might have friends who have supported you or who have been around, whether they've been supportive or not, but they've been there, and you consider them friends. They're nice, like you've known them a long time. But you're gonna go to a level where like they can't come, because if they're only using you or whatever, or if they're not truly your friend, then you gotta drop them at that next atmosphere to go up. So I really like that.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah. I have a good example. I'm gonna pick on you a little bit.
Okay.
This is out of love. So I say this coming from a place like I'm fully aware that you're like learning boundaries. So like I'm watching you with those glasses on, knowing damn well exactly I'm watching it happen in live. And you're doing really good. But like even this morning, I remember we had plans loosely to record podcasts today. And I know you've had a hectic weekend, and because you didn't want to say no to your friend that you were with already sacrificing your whole weekend for, because you're a good friend and you're supportive. You didn't want to disappoint her and leave early, and that almost cost you to not make it here on time for us to record a podcast.
Yeah, other things came up. It wasn't.
No, I
wasn't
understand.
about her, though.
Well, but I'm. Oh, I guess. My point is like, I guess I don't know what happened. But that's a different story. You didn't tell me about. Like, I thought it was just because you were with her, and well, that just fucks up my whole story, Kimmy. Jeez, couldn't have told me that off air. Point being is, I've seen you do it before, where like you've been unable to say no to people, and it's like sacrifice something that you had planned to do for you. And I'm not making it about me and you. It's more about like, I just was assuming that it was like interfering with your promise to yourself to get the podcast done, and like you ended up changing your plans for whatever was going on up in Dallas. But I've seen you like make a lot of good moves on boundaries, so that's good. Because like I've also seen it where it's like you've been stressed because you said yes to people, and then it's like you're like, fuck.
Yeah.
I don't know how to get all this stuff done. Like you literally don't have enough time in the day. Anyway.
My problem with that, and this is just 100% me just not being good with boundaries, is I want to be the kind of person that says yes. I want to be the kind of person that can do everything, and I know you can't be everything for everyone. But my thing is like I want to push that envelope all the time of how much can I do, you know? And so like the boundaries there is honestly just boundaries I need to set within myself of knowing that I can't do it all, and knowing that I only have this amount of hours in the day, and that's the thing is I want to be able to do it, but I can't. So that's where I'm struggling with that. And honestly, how do you set boundaries with yourself? It's hard.
That's where I'm really good at setting boundaries with other people. I'm not so good at setting boundaries with myself. But that's that goes hand in hand with like it changes when I'm more disciplined. I have great boundaries. But you know, when you start getting in like a negative mind space and you don't have structure, for me, that's like all hell breaks loose and you're like, and just shit kind of goes to the wayside. So yeah, I don't know. Boundaries with yourself is also important. I don't really have any good tips on that because I'm still working on it.
Yeah, I think it's like honestly for me, it's like a step, it's a challenge of my ego. Like it's a challenge of like, yeah, you can do it all. You know, like I always say like, you know, it'll get done. It always gets done. That's what I tell myself all the time. Like when I'm stressed, I'm like, you always get it done. It will get done. And if it doesn't get done, you know, like it's gonna be okay. Kind of thing. If it doesn't get done, you can do it tomorrow. If it doesn't get done, you can make it okay with that person. Like you can always make it okay. But like it's always like I'm always pushing myself to that extreme of like I want to test the boundaries. I want to test the limits of what I can do. And so for me, when I'm setting boundaries with other people and when I'm setting boundaries with myself, it's always an assumption that I can always do more than I can. And it's like I don't want to lower my expectations for myself. I'm a Virgo, so I have high expectations for everybody and the highest for myself. And it's like I don't want to lower or water myself down to accommodate like what I think I should do. And like I do have an example for this. So like with bodybuilding, I'm in an active prep, and it's like with prep you have a lot of things that you have to do. You know, your cardio. There's a lot of like non-compromise. You know, like you cannot compromise on it. You have to do your cardio. You have to follow your diet. You have to work out. You have to do all these things. You have to pose. You have to check in with your coach, and all of this stuff takes time.
Right.
But with me, when I'm in a prep, I'm like, this is a part of my life. This is not my life. You know, I refuse to let other aspects of my life suffer because I've chosen to do a prep. And so I refuse to let my relationships with people falter. And I'm like, I'm normally hanging out with you multiple times a week or once a week, or I want to maintain that through a prep, even though like it may be different. Like, of course I can't eat out, or of course I can't do stuff, but like I will still make you an effort. I will still make you a priority. But then as this, you know, the strains of prep get larger, your cardio gets longer, you have less energy, your workouts get more intense, that kind of thing. I still try to keep the level of everything, you know, like I still try to see all my people. I still try to stay up late. I still try to do a bunch of stuff when I don't have energy. And that's actually to the detriment of my prep. Like my body responds in like a stress response because I'm not getting proper recovery. I'm not sleeping. Because that's the thing. It's like if I can sacrifice anything, it's going to be something that only affects me, which would be my sleep. Like that is my thing. It's like I don't need sleep. Oh, I don't need, you know, blank, 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 blank. I say it all the time. I feel myself saying it, and I am a recovery technician. I literally do recovery for my life business. And I'm telling myself I don't need sleep, and it's like, no, you need sleep. I don't need this. No, you do. Like it's like I'm compromising with myself because I don't have those boundaries set. And like with a prep, it's really easy to see. Like it's literally like displayed on your body. Like my coach tells me all the time, you have to sleep. He was like, you have to sleep. I don't care what you compromise, but it was not going to be your sleep anymore. And so I noticed that the more I slept, the less water I retained, the better I looked, and like it was like I'm constantly trying to set the like where can give. If I can't give sleep, where can give in this schedule, because I'm not willing to compromise blank. You know, and that's where it's like, oh fuck.
So bodybuilding competitors are super busy. It's very intense. I've never done it, but just I've watched people do it. I don't know what it looks like for CrossFit competitions and prepping for that, but I know that that's in your future. How have you learned to prioritize those things? Because if you go into like a CrossFit competition with that same mindset, how will that lead to success?
Yeah, so I'm an all gas, no brakes type person. I am a do it anyway, get it done type shit. And so I don't think I currently have those boundaries set in place for myself, because it's like I can always do more. Like I literally texted, you know, I have a few coaches right now. I have, you know, like different people for different stuff. I have like bodybuilding coaches that I'm still working with, and strength and conditioning coaches and CrossFit coaches, and all these people that are helping me, guiding me into like stuff. And so I'll text some of them and I'll be like, hey, I can do more. Like, what can I do? Like, I can do more. And it was funny. My CrossFit coach was like, less. That's what you can do, is less. He was like, stop fucking around with this bodybuilding bullshit if you want to be successful in CrossFit. Meaning, stop trying to do everything because your body is suffering because of it. And I've noticed, like, when I do less rep, like I want to do my CrossFit workout, and then I still want to run, and then I want to do my bodybuilding workout to make sure my body is maintaining hypertrophy, and then I'll practice all the skill work that goes with CrossFit. Be like, oh well, I did the workout of the day and it was this, but I need to be better at double unders. I need to be better at cleans. I need to be better at blank, 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 blank. And so I will do them outside of my workouts, which is fatiguing my body more, so that I can't give all my energy into the CrossFit workout the next day. Whereas if I like pull back a little bit, I'm able to give more energy and more focus. And I think that's what the thing is. It's like I want to have my hand in every cookie pot right now. I want my hands in all the pots. Whereas like if I just like focus, like do applied attention to something, I feel like it would be more successful. And so I'm genuinely trying.
Yeah. I think that I want to bring something up and see what your thoughts are on this. We've talked before, you and I don't know if it's been on the podcast or not, but about the stories that we tell ourselves and how words have power. And what I heard you just say was, I'm an all gas, no brakes person. So you just announced to the world and to yourself that this is just who you are.
I think that's who I want to be. And like I don't want to change, so I'm okay with putting that into the world.
Okay.
Because I like I said, like before we started talking about this, I was talking about how I glorify the hustle. Like I feel like a lot of people in America glorify the hustle as like, oh, I'm working hard, I'm doing so much stuff, that means I'm successful, right?
Right.
And it does not necessarily mean that. You could be hustling, nose to the grindstone, and still making no progress. And so that's why I think like applied attention, like applied ambition is way better than just being ambitious. Like if you have all of these goals and you're like, say, I want to start this company and I want to do this and I want to do this. And it's like, it's all big talk, all big words. And it's like, oh, okay, so you're networking a little bit, you're doing this stuff, but you're not having like applied, ambition towards your goal. Like you're never going to get that goal. And that's what bothers me. It's like when my friends have all this like big talk about their dreams and what they want to do, but they're not actively like doing what's necessary steps to be there.
Right.
Because they're too busy like focused on like either other stuff or just hustling, air quotes hustling. You know,
Yeah.
like, what are you doing to work on it? Well, I'm doing this and this and this. And I was like, well, is that what you need to be doing?
Right.
Ooh, I don't know. It's calling myself out too. I'm
Yeah.
100% in this. But yeah, I think I glorify the hustle. I glorify the all gas, no brakes. I glorify that my schedule's packed every fucking day. And it's like, okay, well, if you were to rest, if you were to give yourself some time, how would you benefit? And for me, it would probably be a lot.
Well, I guess that's what I'm trying to say is that it sounds like from my ears you're saying two things. It sounds like you're saying that you're glorifying that statement, and I'm just using that statement as an example. But you know that it's not, but then you just told me that that's what you want. But it sounds like what you really want is to be successful at what you do.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you want to work hard and you want to be better and more than the average person and than you were yesterday, which I think those are all good things, but do you need to be all gas, no brakes to be that person?
I don't think so. I think, I don't know.
Oh, dude, fucking talking to the fucking, oh my god. Yeah. I know how many times I've been asked that in last few months, like, what do you want? And I'm like, oh god, why is that question so daunting?
Yeah, because it's huge. We're such goal-oriented people, such broad spectrum people. We're like, I want everything. And it's like, how do you get everything?
Well, and something that I learned yesterday is that I'm afraid to want.
Because you don't want to be disappointed if you don't get it, or what?
I'm still working on the why of that.
Yeah.
Still working on
Because
it.
I can see that. I am super, the statement, shoot for the moon, because if you miss, you land among the stars,
I
right?
also like that.
Have goals that are super ambitious and super high, and then you fall along the stars of, what's great, but it's like, okay, but yes, my mom and a lot of people ask me all the time, like, when are you going to be satisfied? Fucking never. I'm never going to be satisfied. I'm always hungry. Like, never going to be okay with it. So that's the thing, is if I land among the stars, okay, great, I'm glad I'm here, I'm glad I'm being successful, but if it's not what I wanted, if it's not what I thought I wanted, if it's still failure in my eyes. So for me, my last bodybuilding competition, this is hard, I don't want to talk about this, but it's fine. I won my class, but I got second overall. So I was so upset because at the end of my show, people were consoling me. I was already upset. I won.
I remember that.
I got first place, and it was something to be congratulated for. It was something to be proud of. It was a win. But because I didn't because I didn't win against the other winners, I still lost. And I was getting consoled, and it was like, okay, so you say shoot for the moon, land among the stars. Okay, well, I won. That's a star. But I didn't get the overall, so you didn't reach the fucking moon.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, at what point, do you accept small wins as failures?
I mean, honestly, me looking back on that day, I responded the way, because I was consoling you. I think it's awesome that you won. I know you, and I assumed
you were correct.
that you were going to be upset because you didn't win overall. But I still saw that as a fucking win. And I know how hard you push yourself. And I just I think a lot of people probably see that in you, and that's why they reacted that way.
And I appreciate it, because you're exactly right. I was not happy. I cried. I was upset about my placing.
Yeah, it doesn't feel good hearing anyone saying that though right as it happened. I hear that.
But that's the thing. It's like with boundaries, and I'm trying to place it here. It's like, at what point, do you stop? I accept that I won, but it's still not enough. And so it's like you said, you're scared to want things. So it's like, do I? I don't even know what I'm saying. It's so broad concept right now.
I mean, I recognize in myself that I can do a lot of self-sabotaging, or if I said this the intro to this podcast says you're sick of using fear to stop truly living your life. Well, I am sick of it, but it still fucking seeps in, and there are things I'm afraid of, and I let it in. Not on purpose, but you have to be vigilant and paying attention to it, because otherwise, like, it grows.
Yeah.
Because you feed it, because you allow the thoughts to be negative, and you convince yourself that you're right.
Yeah.
Whether you're negative or you're positive, you convince yourself that you were right.
Yeah, and then it's a self-fulfilling prophecy at that point.
Right, which is why I brought up the story that you were telling yourself about the.
Yeah.
And we all tell ourselves stories, and as long as you tell yourself that story,
Mm-hmm.
like as long as you say like I don't know how to set boundaries, you probably won't. But if you say, you know what?
That's what I'm saying. Actively working on setting
Yeah.
boundaries. I am.
Yeah, that's a better statement. Like
Yeah.
I am working on setting boundaries,
Mhm.
and I'm gonna figure it out. Like that's
Yeah.
a better statement than saying like, you know, because I really truly believe that words have power. We've watched it happen live.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard to break the habit of telling yourself a story because whether you say it out loud or in your head,
Mm-hmm.
like, it doesn't matter. Like it has more power out loud.
Yeah.
But if you tell yourself a certain thing every day, like that's more likely to become your truth.
Yeah.
Um,
You said that you have a lot of fear, and there's something that like I am fearful of, and I think that's what is my driving force for working so hard. Is that I think I have fear of like I expect to be successful for myself. Like I don't accept the fact that I could potentially not be successful, and so I tell myself all the time that like I'm going to be able to do this stuff, and I sometimes go blindly into things, not knowing how to do things because I just expect to figure it out. And like the fear is that like, okay, if you don't figure it out, like, what does that mean? Like, if you don't, like, where's your value placed in that? Because I place my value in more of the like, what can I provide? Like, what is my like, what do I provide to the world? And that is where I place like a lot of value. And I've been realizing that as I shift my goals, as I shift what my aspirations are, I'm disappointed because I'm like, why didn't I fulfill the other? And like, why was it so important to me then, but I don't have very much importance in it now? Because I think even when we started this podcast, I wanted to go to PT school. And now I'm realizing that I don't necessarily need that to get to where I want.
Right.
And it's like, okay, well, I'm kind of disappointed that I had that goal. I had those aspirations. I wanted to have the doctorate for the prestige and for to have the knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm realizing, well, there's a different, road up this mountain to get to where I want to be.
Yeah.
But I'm still disappointed.
Right.
I'm not, I don't know. I still have disappointment. And I think it's because I have these things built up around myself that if I don't achieve them, I'm not good enough. With the show, like I'm not comfortable leaving that as my last show. Like, yes, I won. I didn't win
Right.
the overall. I'm not comfortable leaving that. I probably will do another bodybuilding show, and it's solely for myself. It's not for anybody else.
Right.
I'm not satisfied with how I did. I think I can do better. I will do better.
Yeah.
And it's like, at what point can you just accept and move on?
I mean, that's.
It's hard, man. That's the rhetorical question. Like,
Yeah.
there's no answer. If you guys are waiting for an answer, I'm sorry. I'm still figuring that out myself. But yeah, that's a hard one. You said fear, and it's like I have major fear of failure. And the thing is, I'm not fearful of failure as for like what other people will think about me. It's like I want to make myself proud. And right now, I'm proud of a lot of things I'm doing, but I'm not proud.
Do you think that the disappointment in not going after that has anything to do with like what is culturally or society, like what they deem as being successful? Like, is it strictly, well, I wanted this and I didn't do it, and so that sucks? Because you're allowed to change your mind, and you should change, and you should grow, and things are not going to be important, you know, and that's normal. But I think if you were to like tell me 10 years ago like that going your own path and not going to get a doctorate degree was going to be the better route, like more successful wise, I don't think that I would have believed it. But nowadays it's like that actually does seem true, especially if it's something that you want to do, especially with all the student loan debt. Like,
Yeah.
but I don't think all of society is there.
Yeah.
so many people still believe in college and think that's the better route to go.
It's crazy that a doctorate degree would be comfort zone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's crazy to me. Like, of course, it'd be hard and challenging to get there, and no saying that I would, be successful in it. But like, if I were to do it, like that's like what society has deemed the next step, right?
Yeah.
More education, college. Like it was never a choice. My mom growing up would tell me, you're going to go to school, you're going to get an education, you're going to get married, you're going to have babies. That is what you do. Literally would say it multiple times. Like as in she was teaching me, these are good morals, these are good things to keep. But in my head, I mean, from like infancy, so now it's like, well, there was never an option not to go to college. Even if that would have propelled me into a better thing, it was, you're going to college. And I think, I do value education. I really do. And I love my degree, and I'm not using it, but I'm glad that I have it because it's what I was supposed to do.
Right.
And so it's crazy to me that more education seems more comforting to me than doing something that I potentially don't know how to do in sole focus of, I'm going to do this for me because it's going to propel me into my goals.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy.
Well, I think that, we're coming from a generation of people who, most of them didn't go to college. Most of my friends' parents, like, I don't know if your mom still qualifies as baby boomer.
She's 1 year out of the baby boomer.
So, but about there.
Yeah, on the cusp.
But the baby boomers, like, they didn't go to college.
Mm-hmm.
They worked at a job and they worked their way up at a business.
Mm-hmm.
For the most, I mean, obviously some people went to college, but it wasn't like now they're, parents always overcorrect what they didn't get and do for their children. So they've made sure that everybody that they had raised went to college. It was a huge thing. But it's like nowadays, people ask me, they're like, so is Summer going to college? And I'm like, fuck no, fuck college. I'm like, unless she's trying to be a doctor or a lawyer or going for a technical school for something specific that she needs, I'm like, I'm not telling her to go. I'm not saving up money for her to go. I'm not encouraging it. I'm encouraging her to choose a career that would make her happy and realize that she can learn how to do it on the job or via like online classes or like independent teaching of some sort. Like I encourage education, but not necessarily in a college form. But I don't think that I'm normal in that sense. Like people are still giving me like the, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like I'm a hippie now. Whatever. It's fine. But I hope one day that you accept that you changed your mind and didn't go that route, because for you, I see big things no matter which direction you go. But if you don't feel that's that way anymore, then it fucking ain't. You know?
I don't know. This is a lot. Like this has been a major year of growth for me. Like in all aspects of my life, but especially mentally. Like I've really put the effort in to figure out what I actually feel and why I feel it. Yeah. And so part of me, when I'm thinking about this, why do I feel disappointment in changing my mind? I'm allowed to change my mind. Nobody is judging me for changing my mind.
Yeah.
But I still feel this disappointment. And so I'm deep diving into why. Why would I be disappointed in that? Because I wanted it, now I don't. But there's
probably because your mother told you to do it.
Yeah, exactly. I don't even know this. I got my degree. I successfully fulfilled her prophecy for me, right? I did it. No, I mean the marriage and kids thing. Okay, well, working on it.
You're still young. You're fine.
Oh, working on it,
You're
Mom.
fine.
But it's I don't know. It's interesting to think about, and I'm actively working on it daily.
I like it.
But our next topic for today is something that I have been wanting to talk about, mainly because the holidays are coming up, and we're going to talk about forgiving and moving on. And with the holidays coming up, that is big with me is because, I think I'm a very, very forgiving person. I don't get mad easily, and when I do get mad, I don't stay mad for long. It takes way too much energy for me to be mad, and so I just let things go. I try to learn what lesson whatever that happened taught me, and be thankful for what I learned and move on.
Yeah, you're like a Buddhist monk.
Oh, no, namaste, motherfuckers. I know it's not monk, but like I say that all the time. I literally say namaste, motherfuckers, all the time, because it's like you're not going to disturb my peace. Like if you disturb my peace to make me mad in the original, like I'm not going to continue to stay mad. Like that's like drinking poison. You know, it's like no, I'm not going to do that. But what I have found is that some things do bother me. Some things are really, really bothering me, and I've noticed that as the holidays get closer, I'm trying to rush forgiveness here. I'm trying to make things better. I have somebody in my life that I'm holding on some anger to, but for good reason. I mean, there's a lot of reasons behind it, but I'm trying to make myself forgive and move on, just to appease my family in the holidays, because it would be easier to just not have tension. And so
for everyone else.
Yeah, for everyone else.
It'd be easier
And
for
so
them.
I've been trying to convince myself for this past like week and a half that I'm over it and that I've forgiven and moved on, but I'm not. So I just want to talk about that today because I think it's good with setting boundaries because they go hand in hand for me.
Well, yeah, I mean, because you forgive people so easily, if you don't set boundaries, you're gonna literally like welcome them back into your life to do it again and again until you actually set that boundary.
Yeah.
And many people do and have.
That's what I've been doing my whole life, specifically with this situation.
You're not the only one. I mean, I tend to somehow connect really with people who are opposite of me in that way. Because I'm so good at setting boundaries, and by good I do mean I go overboard probably.
I like it because you're setting boundaries for me.
I'm teaching you.
Yes.
But you're not the first person I've met that's had that's struggled with boundaries. And so I think that is like literally one of the things, like if that's the one thing that you learn from our friendship, like how to be better at setting boundaries, cool, like that's good. Because in the long run, I think that's something that you seek success and happiness, but if you allow people that are going to try and dampen that into your life, then what is it worth anyway?
Yeah.
You know?
But I do think it is good around the holiday, like not saying because of the holidays, but if you are holding on to something that you should let go of, like how heavy is it? Like is it taking more energy from you to hold on to something and be angry, or like is it time to let it go?
Oh, I mean, the anger is not good. Should not hold on to anger. That's like, I feel like wary about this topic because it is right before the holidays. I feel like if we're like, hey, like, fuck your family, if they're pissing you off, like, don't go. Like, I don't want people to be like, I'm gonna do it, and then they're be like, Kimmy Dana said.
Yeah.
But it's the thing is like, you need to live your life for you, and I really think it's important to like recognize, like, hey, your parents raised you, your family was there when no one else was, or they weren't, but in a typical situation, and that's important, and it can never be taken away or replaced. But when you remarry or when you move out, when you grow up, like, you are your own family extension, and you still belong to your family, but you're starting your own thing. And so I think that your obligation needs to be to that space first.
Yeah.
And again, with the boundaries, if they don't respect that, then that's a problem. And unfortunately, it tends to be your family and friends that have the biggest issue with respecting boundaries, because they want you to do what they want you to do, not what makes you happy. Yeah. You ever notice that? How like you're like, oh, this makes me happy, and then the closest people to you are the ones that are like, don't do it. That's
they want
stupid.
you to change so that they can be comfortable.
Yeah.
And that's
they wouldn't do what you're doing, so they don't want you to do it either.
Yeah.
And that's not okay.
I had a bit of word vomit this weekend.
You read another poem?
No, it's not a poem. So I have this this document that I keep that I just write things in when I'm feeling sappy. Right?
Okay.
And I call it word vomit because I feel like I can't hold them in even if I want to. Right. So I wrote this down. and it's just called Unfinished Business. And I wrote, maybe there aren't perfect words. I know we've had some friction, but when I think about you, I think of good times. That is what I think about when I think of you. The more I think about it, the more I realize I have been wanting to reach out, not dependent on their behavior or how like it needs to be released, but I wanted to reach out. Forgive so that you can let go. If you are still holding on to resentment, let that shit go. That's what I wrote this weekend.
Who were you thinking about?
I was thinking about a certain individual that I'm having the only tension in my life. That's the thing, is I don't have tension with anybody in my life except for one person. And so I'm like, is there a reason that I can't let this go? Like, is there a reason? I don't have anybody that I have ill will towards. There's, like, of course there's some people that I would prefer not to be around. Don't get me wrong. Like,
Sure.
I'm not, like, happy-go-lucky, hug everyone. But for the most part, I am pretty good at just not letting things affect me. But for this person, like, how can I write that one day and then the next day I'm like, fuck this shit. You know, it's like, obviously I'm not over it. So am I like rushing this self-healing because I want to be over it? Because I genuinely do. I would love for things to be fixed.
Yeah.
Or do I still have a lot of processing to go through before I can truly and genuinely move on and be over it?
I mean, it's probably both.
Yeah.
I definitely think that it doesn't help that you had a hiccup with this person, or you thought you did a week ago. And it is Christmas in just a few weeks, and so like, it doesn't help that you want. I mean, you want it to be resolved, but the problem is like it's been how many years of friction?
Yeah.
Versus trying to like, and then how long since it has been since you've been wanting to actively try and fix it.
Yeah.
You're fighting a heavy opposing side there, you know.
Yeah.
And that they're not on the same page.
Yeah.
You never know, like you literally could want to fix it and heal it and forgive, and the only part that is in your control is the forgiving.
Yeah. And so, at what point do I need to take responsibility for the fact that I can't change their perspective? I can't change them.
I mean, right now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, I am so obviously worked up about this that I
Yeah.
want to talk about it publicly, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, at what point do I just need to take accountability of, it's not going to change. It's not going to get better. And if it does, it's not going to be, you know, something that I can do. Like, that person is going to have to want to change for things to get better. But what I can do, what I can control, is how my response to it. And my response right now is that I want them to feel this. I want them to, like, I want them to learn something from this. But it's not my responsibility to teach this lesson, and it's obviously taking away from my positivity. It's draining me. And but it's like, okay, just let it go, right? And it's like, okay.
Easier said than done.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard you say that a couple times in the last few months, that I want them to feel the loss. And honestly, it was like shocking to hear you say it. I'm like,
Because it's so unlike me, right?
it's Kimmy's dark side's coming out.
Like,
I'm like, oh fuck.
That's what I'm saying though. Like,
It's
if
not you.
I'm letting
But it is.
this pit of negative energy change me, and like I let it make me not me.
Yeah.
And so let it go, right? Let that shit go. And it's like, okay, how?
I mean, we were talking about controlling your response. I told you before about that murder, man, when I was on my murder podcast thing, right? And that there was a mother and her daughter was murdered violently by her boyfriend, husband, something. And the mother went and saw this man in jail, prison, whatever, afterwards, and she looked through the glass and she said, I forgive you. And this wasn't even like that long after. She's a very religious woman, and I was just like listening to this podcast and I was like, what the fuck? Because in my mind, I'm like, I cannot ever imagine saying to the murderer's face that killed my child, I forgive you. But the thing is like, she didn't want to carry that the rest of her life. She was already going to carry the loss of her daughter. And she didn't want to carry the anger of holding on to this hatred for this person. Like, you know, and I was just, I still can't wrap my head around it. Like, it still seems insane to me, but like, I think that's the goal.
Yeah. And to actually mean it.
Yeah, and maybe not that crazy of a scenario, hopefully, right? But like, I think the thing is you want to be able to. It doesn't matter what the other person does. Like, not allowing them to impact you. That's the goal.
Yeah.
You know, and that can be in any way. They can't lift you up. They can't put you down. Like, it does not matter what they do.
Yeah. So I think it's good. I think forgiveness is always good, right?
I don't really see any issues with it. But you know, they forgive and forget is a different. I don't like that. I don't like that.
Forgive and learn.
I think that's situational. I think that
I never forget. I forgive easily, but I never forget. Ever.
I think it's important if you're gonna maintain a relationship with someone that you do need to let go of the past. Like, you can't hold on to that forever and hold it against them. But you can still forgive them and then choose not to allow them to stay in your life.
Yeah.
Right. So, but you're still letting it go. Like, you're still forgiving them for it. So it's like, I think there's multiple. It's not like a black and white one answer fits all scenarios. Like, everybody's gonna do what works for them. Everybody has so many. You know how many people I talk to that have so many weird family dynamics? Everyone thinks that they're the most fucked up ones, and it's like, I've heard worse.
It's like, hold my beer.
Right? It's like, dude.
And why does everybody try to one-up each other when we're talking about shit?
I know, my family's more fucked up.
No, my family left me in the rain, but also on fire. So it's like, oh my god. So I guess to wrap things up, I have a question on here. It says, how do you know when it's time to continue holding on or time to let go?
I think your heart tells you, honestly. Like, I have only been in a couple situations in my life where I've needed to let go, and honestly, my what's it called, toxic trait. My toxic trait is that I don't let people like in, and I don't let people help me, and I handle things on my own. And so a lot of times people don't know what's going on with me, and it's like I'm forcing it down into like this darkness that I'm aware it's there. So I'm not like avoiding it, but I'm not sharing it either. But so I push it down until my body literally physically starts to reject it. And so I don't think that it's good to wait until then, but that's just so happens to be when I start to deal with my shit. And like, there's been 2 other times in my life, and this is like a pattern now that I started recognizing as of yesterday, was, so I cannot stop crying about something. If it's brought up and if I start immediately crying, I need to fucking deal with that shit. Because I've been putting it off way too long. So like, when people used to ask me about my dad, I used to immediately start crying. I'm over it now. Like, he doesn't do that to me anymore. And then when I was injured in the Marine Corps and was like realizing and accepting the fact that I couldn't re-enlist, and that my leg was like fucked up from my injury, anytime someone brought it up, immediate tears. And now, yesterday I was at a workshop and something else got brought up, and it was immediate tears. And so, and I'm literally not going to bring it up right now because I will immediately start crying.
Yeah.
And the thing is that, but now I'm kind of catching on to, hey, that's my fucking body, like, telling my brain, like, hey, idiot, like, fucking pay attention, fix your shit, stop dicking around. Yeah, like, you can't put it off forever and like just pretend like everything's honky-dory. You have to deal with it. So that's that is my cue. Crying.
I think so mine is, I am a naturally positive person, and I don't, it's really hard to knock me off my good mood. But if you do, I stay there for a little bit. Like today, like it's like a little bit more somber than normal, you know? And it's like, okay, if I'm gonna let this affect my day, if I'm gonna let this affect my week, if I'm gonna let this affect my relationship with myself, then it's, you know, the opportunity cost is too much.
Yeah.
So even one day, one bad day, I need to deal with it. That is
Yeah.
that is my cue. Like, I can't push things away because I become somebody that I'm not.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you know, have you heard that analogy? It's like if you had, and I'm gonna make up these numbers right now because I don't know it, but if you had like $56,000, 743 cents in your bank account, and someone stole $10 from you, would you throw the rest of the money away?
No.
And I don't remember what the exact amount of seconds in a day was, but the whole point is if someone steals a fraction of your day and like does something terrible or hurts you, are you going to allow that to ruin the rest of your time here on earth? If that is one day, you don't know. You have no idea if tomorrow's going to be the day you don't wake up.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's like, if you think about it like that,
Yeah.
we don't have a lot of time to deal with our shit.
Yeah.
And I like your method a lot more than my method. But I'll work on it.
Yeah. I mean, it's all about, you know, better every day.
Or in 6 months when I cry again or something.
Yeah.
It's pretty spread out.
Yeah, you're a tough cookie. I mean, like, it's hard to like affect you, in my opinion, from what I can see. So.
Exactly my point.
Yeah.
You literally just proved my point. But I am human.
Yeah.
And shit affects me the same way it affects you.
Yeah.
I just have fucking armor on that's impenetrable.
Yeah.
Until I hit the crying threshold, and then it's just like
The crying.
and then my armor is filled up with my own tears, and I
And
have
you're
to take it
drowning.
off. And I'm drowning.
Shit, it's got so dark.
It's dark. It got dark.
Oh man.
All right, I think we're gonna wrap it up.
Give you some things to think about.
We have what, 2 more podcasts for the end of the year? Is that right?
Yeah.
Is it 2 or 3? I can't remember.
Say
But we're gonna be
2 more.
Yeah, 2 more, and so we're gonna be probably recording these in bulk just so we can enjoy the rest of the year with all the busyness that's going on. So hopefully y'all do the same, and thank you for listening, and check out our podcast Instagram page. It's Start to Be Great Podcast.
Yeah, DM us on there if you have any questions or anything you guys would like to hear from us. We will post this Monday at 6 a.m. Why so early? Because we're fucking sharks, and sharks don't give a damn that it's Monday.